All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to unpack what it really means to be a Databricks champion in the data world. And here's a hint. It's not just about being a tech wizard. It's about a massive shift in how you think about your job. So let's get into it. And this quote right here, this is the core of the whole thing. The author makes it super clear that getting this title wasn't just a pat on the back for their technical skills. No, it was a total change in perspective, moving from being the person who just builds the systems to the person who actually defines what value that data brings to the business. That's a huge leap. And that brings us to this brand new mindset. It's about looking way beyond just the technical stuff and really changing how you think as a professional.
So, why is this new mindset so important? Well, because the data industry has a pretty big problem, what the author calls the data value disconnect. Basically, we're all so busy writing code and tweaking systems that we kind of forget what the whole point is. Are we getting lost in the weeds?
Okay, check this out. This slide just nails the problem perfectly. On one side, you've got the old focus. You know, all the stuff we engineers love to obsess over. Efficient Spark code, picking the perfect tool, squeezing every last drop of performance out of the system. And yeah, that stuff is important. But look at the new focus on the right. This is where the magic happens. Creating real business value, driving ROI, and being totally transparent about costs. This is the shift we're talking about. So what happens when a company gets stuck in that old way of thinking? Well, it's not pretty. According to our source, they usually stumble right into 3 super common and super costly traps. Let's break them down. First up, pitfall number 1, FinOps nightmares. You know, FinOps is supposed to make cloud spending make sense, but in this scenario, it's the total opposite. The cloud bill just keeps climbing and climbing, and when you ask, hey, what are we getting for all this money? Crickets. It's just a mountain of cost with no clear connection to value. And that really makes you stop and think, right? Can you honestly say you know what your cloud spend is actually buying for the business?
All right, pitfall number 2, governance bottlenecks. This is what happens when data governance is an afterthought. You get these amazing tools like Unity Catalog, but without a solid plan, it just creates chaos. Permissions are a mess, nobody trusts the data, and suddenly your most valuable asset starts to look like a huge liability.
It really forces you to ask that tough question, doesn't it? Is your data an asset that's helping you win, or has it become a risk that's holding you back?
And the last trap, number 3, expensive lab projects. Oh man, we've all seen this one. The company drops a ton of money on some flashy new AI project. It looks incredible in the demo, everyone's wowed by it, but it never, ever makes it into production. It just sits on a shelf, becoming what the author calls an expensive decoration. All sizzle, no steak.
So you've got to ask yourself, and be honest, are your AI projects actually out there driving value in the real world, or are they just burning a hole in the budget? Okay, so we've talked a lot about the problems, so what's the solution? It's all about building what's called a value-centric lakehouse. The idea is to take the awesome power of a lakehouse architecture and give it a new mission, not just to store and process data, but to be an engine for driving real, measurable business results. And this whole approach is built on 3 really solid pillars. First, you've got cost transparency and efficiency. This means every dollar you spend on the cloud has a purpose, and you can track it back to a business outcome. Second, a governance-first design. Security and control aren't bolted on at the end, they're baked in from the very beginning. And third, and this is the big one, is a relentless focus on driving ROI. The goal is to turn the data platform from a money pit into a money maker for the business.
Now, all of this sounds great in theory, right? But how do you actually do it? How do you go from just writing code to actually delivering a real, tangible return on investment?
Well, the author lives by this classic saying in the tech world, talk is cheap, show me the code. And that's the whole point. It's not enough to just talk about value. You have to be able to build it, to prove it, to show it working in the real world. And for anyone who wants to roll up their sleeves and actually do this, the author points you to some amazing resources. There's a personal portfolio and a daily series that gets into the nitty-gritty of things like liquid clustering, finding those hidden cost savings, and making the move to serverless SQL. Basically, all the practical stuff you need to build a platform that's truly centered on value. So we'll leave you with this one final thought. After everything we've gone over today, this is the one question you should take back to your team. Look at everything you're building, your platforms, your pipelines, your projects, and ask yourselves, are we just building systems or are we building value? Because really, the answer to that question
could change absolutely everything.